Breakfast of Champions by Kurt Vonnegut. In memory of Phoebe Hertie, who comforted me in Indianapolis during the Great Depression. When he hath tried me, I shall come forth as gold. Job. Preface. The expression Breakfast of Champions is a registered trademark of General Mills Incorporated for use on a breakfast cereal product. The use of the identical expression as the title for this book is not intended to indicate an association with or sponsorship by General Mills, nor is it intended to disparage their fine products. The person to whom this book is dedicated, Phoebe Hertie, is no longer among the living, as they say. She was an Indianapolis widow when I met her late in the Great Depression. I was 16 or so. She was about 40. She was rich, but she had gone to work every weekday of her adult life, so she went on doing that. She wrote a sane and funny Advice to the Lovelorn column for the Indianapolis Times, a good paper which is now defunct. She wrote ads for the William H. Block Company, a department store which still flourishes in a building my father designed. She wrote this ad for an end of the summer sale on straw hats. For prices like this, you can run them through your horse and put them on your roses. Phoebe Hertie hired me to write copy for ads about teenage clothes. I had to wear the clothes I praised. That was part of the job. And I became friends with her two sons who were my age. I was over at their house all the time. She would talk bodily to me and her sons and to our girlfriends when we brought them around. She was funny. She was liberating. She taught us to be impolite in conversation, not only about sexual matters, but about American history and famous heroes, about the distribution of wealth, about school, about everything. I now make my living by being impolite. I'm clumsy at it. I keep trying to imitate the impoliteness which was so graceful in Phoebe Hertie. I think now that that grace was easier for her than it is for me because of the mood of the Great Depression. She believed what so many Americans believed then, that the nation would be happy and just and rational when prosperity came. I never hear that word anymore, prosperity. It used to be a synonym for paradise, and Phoebe Hertie was able to believe that the impoliteness she recommended would give shape to an American paradise. Now her sort of impoliteness is fashionable, but nobody believes anymore in a new American paradise. I sure miss Phoebe Hertie. As for the suspicion I express in this book, that human beings are robots, are machines, it should be noted that people, mostly men, suffering from the late stages of syphilis from locomotor ataxia, were common spectacles in downtown Indianapolis and in circus crowds when I was a boy. Those people were infested with carnivorous little corkscrews, which could be seen only with a microscope. The victim's vertebrae were welded together after the corkscrews got through with the meat between. The syphilitic seemed tremendously dignified, erect, eyes straight ahead. I saw one stand on a curb at the corner of Meridian and Washington Streets one time, underneath an overhanging clock which my father designed. The intersection was known locally as the Crossroads of America. This syphilitic man was thinking hard there, at the crossroads of America, about how to get his legs to step off the curb and carry him across Washington Street. He shuddered gently, as though he had a small motor which was idling inside. Here was his problem. His brains, where the instruction to his legs originated, were being eaten alive by corkscrews. The wire which had to carry the instructions weren't insulated anymore, or were eaten clear through. Switches along the way were welded open or shut. This man looked like an old man, although he might have been only 30 years old. He thought, and then he kicked like 2 times, like a chorus girl. He certainly looked like a machine to me when I was a boy. I tend to think of human beings as huge rubbery test tubes too, with chemical reactions seething inside. When I was a boy, I saw a lot of people with goiters. So did Dwayne Hoover, the Pontiac dealer who is the hero of this book. Those unhappy earthlings had such swollen thyroid glands that they seemed to have zucchini squash growing from their throats. All they had to do in order to have ordinary lives, it turned out, was to consume less than 1/1,000,000th of an ounce of iodine every day. My own mother wrecked her brains with chemicals which were supposed to make her sleep. When I get depressed, I take a little pill and I cheer up again. And so on. So it is a big temptation to me when I create a character for a novel to say that he is what he is because of faulty wiring or because of microscopic amounts of chemicals which he ate or failed to eat on that particular day. What do I myself think of this particular book? I feel lousy about it, but I always feel lousy about my books. My friend Knox Berger said one time that a certain cumbersome novel, read as though it had been written by Phil Boyd Studge, that's who I think I am when I write what I'm seemingly programmed to write. This book is my 50th birthday present to myself. I feel as though I am crossing the spine of a roof, having ascended one slope. I am programmed at 50 to perform childishly, to insult the Star-Spangled Banner, to scroll pictures of a Nazi flag and an asshole and a lot of other things with a felt-tipped pen. To give an idea of the maturity of my illustrations for this book, here is my picture of an asshole. I think I am trying to clear my head of all the junk in there. The assholes, the flags, the underpants. Yes, there is a picture in this book of underpants. I'm throwing out characters from my other books too. I'm not going to put on any more puppet shows. I think I'm trying to make my head as empty as it was when I was born onto this damaged planet 50 years ago. I suspect that this is something most white Americans and non-white Americans who imitate white Americans should do. The things other people have put into my head, at any rate, do not fit together nicely, are often useless and ugly, are out of proportion with one another, are out of proportion with life as it really is outside my head. I have no culture, no humane harmony in my brains. I can't live without a culture anymore. So this book is a sidewalk strewn with junk, trash which I throw over my shoulders as I travel in time back to November 11th, 1922. I will come to a time in my backwards trip when November 11th, accidentally my birthday, was a sacred day called Armistice Day. When I was a boy, and when Dwayne Hoover was a boy, all the people of all the nations which had fought in the First World War were silent during the 11th minute of the 11th hour of Armistice Day, which was the 11th day of the 11th month. It was during that minute in 1918 that millions upon millions of human beings stopped butchering one another. I have talked to old men who were on battlefields during that minute. They have told me in one way or another that the sudden silence was the voice of God. So we still have among us some men who can remember when God spoke clearly to mankind. Armistice Day has become Veterans Day. Armistice Day was sacred. Veterans Day is not. So I will throw Veterans Day over my shoulder. Armistice Day I will keep. I don't want to throw away any sacred things. What else is sacred? Oh, Romeo and Juliet, for instance. And all music is. Phil Boyd Studge.